Well, he's the guy who wants to take down Sharice Davids in the 3rd Congressional District race. He is Prasanth Reddy, joining us on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Dr. Reddy was supposed to join us for Politics in a Pint a couple of weeks ago, but I know your mother passed away suddenly. So how are you doing on that front first?
Pete, it's an emotional question, obviously. Deeply love my mom. She was in my home. She was on hospice. And the day that she passed, I just shared 4 things. I said she was an awesome person, an awesome mom, that I loved her, that she had nothing to be afraid of, and that I'd see her again. And, we have good days, bad days. My dad's in my home right now, and good hours, bad hours. But I know she'd want us to fight for good values and all of the great things that this country's given us.
Well, what did she think of her son launching this congressional campaign after obviously a highly successful career in the private sector and now getting into the political arena? What did she think of that?
As a mom, you're always, nervous about things.
Yeah, I could see that.
But at the same time, she's always been my biggest supporter. And so no matter what I wanted to do in life, I knew I could count on her. And, even as, the last few weeks were tough, I knew she was there for me.
Well, you now have 22 days to the election, but as we've talked about on this show, it really starts Saturday. Early voting is Saturday. What are you telling people on that front? As I know the Royals being done probably in many ways helps this campaign kind of refocus, but the voter refocus on the election. How much are you saying to people, hey, appreciate the support, but now you got to get out there and get there early because that saves you time and money?
No doubt. And what I'd tell you is elections are won, the day the voting starts. And, early voting starts just around the corner. Get out there, get your vote in, right? Get it out. Go talk to your neighbors. Go talk to folks at work. That's how we're going to win, Pete. This race is entirely winnable. And the time to get really excited and get pumped up and get people deployed is right now. So we're super pumped about it. We've had great events recently. And we're telling folks just what we just said. Get out there, go do the early vote, and get your folks activated. Neighborhoods, churches, places of work, and get them to vote. And go drive them there if you need to.
Yeah, that's right. So take me through then your strategy here over the next 3 weeks. I mean, you look at what happened 2 years ago, and it obviously went the way of Sharice Davids by a wider margin than most people anticipated. What is the Dr. Reddy strategy to turn that around and try to win some voters back who maybe used to vote for Kevin Yoder but now are voting for Sharice Davids?
Well, I can tell you first and foremost is when folks are engaged, to your point, is to listen. And that's what we're doing right now. I mean, we had events yesterday from a breakfast thing that I did yesterday morning at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we ended about 9:30, back-to-back events. And it's about engaging folks. And it's not about me telling folks what, all of my great ideas. It's about listening to them and asking them what's important to them so that we can fix all of the broken policies in D.C. and make a difference in their lives.
Have you gotten any – I know you were supposed to debate your opponent or do a town hall with your opponent in Ottawa last week, and she canceled the day of, as I understand it, correct?
It is shocking, Pete, but she...
Is it really, though?
Well, I can tell it's shocking to me. I mean, I can tell you she agreed to do it. She set the rules, which included, remember, this is about listening to our constituents, listening to the voters, listening to the people, and her rules were no audience questions. And so the day of the forum, she, told the organizers, not only did I shape the event by saying no audience questions, but I'm not going to even show up. And her whole kind of persona that she's built is that she's a good person, a nice person who listens. But if you're not present, how can you listen?
So what do you have coming up? I know you got some events here where you're going to be doing a lot more listening than it seems like the incumbent is willing to do.
Well, we do have a community town hall. It's coming up on Thursday, October 17th between 7 and 8. It's at the Olathe Downtown Library. Everybody's welcome, and it's an open forum. We're there to listen, to take questions, and figure out what people are thinking right now and how we can make their lives better. This is what this is. That is what public service is, Pete. It's not that I have all the great ideas and I'm going to tell people how to live their lives. It's to listen and say, what are you telling me that I can enact in D.C. to make your life better.
Dr. Prasanth Reddy is running against Sharice Davids on KCMO. So, your opponent has done a very good job of moderating herself, especially to the public, and I would say with a willing and able local media as well. So how do you cut through some of that and try to point out some of the non-moderate things, of which there are plenty, that should be highlighted here by the incumbent?
Look, Pete, there's a way you shape messages. That's marketing. And then there's the truth. Talking about disinformation, and we've talked about this before, don't worry about Chinese and Russian disinformation. We got plenty of disinformation right here in our backyard. And I can tell you, I'm about bringing people together with common sense policies. If you can't vote to deport somebody who's here illegally that assaults a police officer, that is not common sense. And I don't know who would realistically say that that's a horrible policy. Mm-hmm. Well, our incumbent voted against that. If you can't vote to fund ICE and our border agents, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think right now it makes sense to many people in this country, in our district. Well, our incumbent voted against that. If you can't understand that inflation is affecting people's ability to put food on their table and pay their rent, and you don't have real solutions, by cutting spending is the real solution to cut inflation and longer term help with the national debt, and you're not aligned with that, well, you're not helping and you're not listening to what's going to make the constituents in this district make their lives better.
There is a perception that, and I've seen polling suggest that amongst those who are always voting, Kamala Harris has a lead over Donald Trump. But when you include those who are considered low propensity voters, it actually helps Donald Trump in some respects. How much is there a belief maybe in this part of the country, in the 3rd District in particular, that those who only vote during presidential years may help you, Prasanth Reddy, in this election?
I think there's a great opportunity to drive out the vote and go to the polls. It doesn't count till you vote, right? So we got to get people out to vote. So I do feel that is a strength of us this cycle, that we can get more people out. Keep in mind, the voter index still has this district, not registrations, but voting behavior is an R+1. And there's been a national trend that there are more and more registered Republicans over the last few cycles. It was actually Dems +3 and Dems +6. This cycle nationally is Republicans +1.
Wow. Okay. And this is still an R+1.
Correct.
So if you basically turn out Republicans, you feel like you are right in the thick of this race.
We can and we will win. Now, we got to do our job, folks. Get those signs out in your front yards. Go talk to your neighbors. Go talk to folks at work. Go talk to your friends at church. Get them to vote. If we go and vote, we're going to win this race.
All right. So you mentioned that. Where can people pick up if they want any of that stuff, yard signs, and they want to get a hold of you? I mean, I know you got the event in Olathe this Thursday night at 7 p.m., but where else can they get things and get involved with you in the campaign?
The easiest way, Pete, is just to go to our campaign website. It's just www.readyforkansas.com. Go volunteer there. Ask for signs. The other thing you can do, if you want to, just head out to the Johnson County Republican office. Our campaign managers and our staff's there as well. They can help you pick up signs and sign up for volunteering, phone banking, door knocking, literature drops. There's still a lot of stuff we need. We need lots of folks activated. You can help us that way. At a minimum, though, vote and activate the folks in your network.
Prasanth Reddy running against Sharice Davids in the 3rd District here on KCMO Talk Radio. Dr. Reddy, thank you for being here. We really appreciate the time.
Appreciate it, Pete. Always appreciate talking to you and your audience.